Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up tonight, not only for yourself, but for the people that you love and care about, because tonight's topic is one that I've not dived into yet on the Detox Divas. And the more I dug in, the more I realized that this was a conversation that we need to have as a community. So thank you for showing up tonight. It's very, very important. And what comes after this is going to help support the body in a way that probably we've not had that connection or that ability to do so. So super excited to have you here. Let's get started. Tonight we're talking about the vitamin B crisis. From depleted soil to depleted bodies. And if you are someone that suffers with a B deficiency, drop that in the chat if you're comfortable, because I would love to see, we've got what, 50 people on the call. I would love to see like what that percentage is of people that have that. So let's get going on our Detox Diva weekly call. I want to start and I want to introduce myself because we've got some new people on the call tonight. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you very much. My name is Tina, and I am the host and founder of the Detox Divas. I have built my business, my brand on root cause healing and working from the root up instead of chasing symptoms, which is the foundation of what our company is. I'm a best-selling author, speaker, and the founder of the Detox Divas. I specialize in detoxification. If you ever hear me, I even said it before the call even started recording. We need a detox. And love mineral balancing, gut and microbiome health, and then the long road back from chronic depletion, because I'm not about quick fixes. Anything that you have in your body that is causing you distress is not a quick fix. It is a long road back. It takes patience and consistency, as anything, any goal in life does. I chose my sobriety February 28th of 2023. Very happy. And it is that decision for the foundation of really how I've grown, not only personally, but as a leader and in my education. And I live on 5-acre homestead in Iowa with my wonderful husband, Todd, almost 33 years married, and my big sheepdog, Phoenix Rose, who you'll probably see in a lot of my posts on my Facebook. So I want to introduce you to these two amazing women. Paula Scarcella, she is the founder of Green Organics. Paula built a company on one conviction: the body recognizes food, not chemicals. And that's, can I get an amen in the chat on that? Because that's a fact right there. It was Green Organics was founded in 2011 on the principle that the whole plant delivers what isolated compounds cannot. She owns and operates a GMP compliant manufacturing facility in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where our products are made. Whole plant formulations only, no synthetic isolates, 15 years of 15 years of experience. Well, more than that, really. Every ingredient is identity tested before entering production. Every label is transparent. Every partner is paid in real time. I'm a partner. So if I share something with you or some of the other people on here, the business side of this does pay in real time. Then we have Alexandria Brighton, who is our lead formulator. I don't know how these products could not exist without Alexandria. She's a master aromatherapy formulator with more than 30 years of experience in essential oils, Ayurvedic medicine, and herbalism. She's the founder of the Brighton Institute of Botanical Studies, recognized authority in essential oils and botanical formulations, exclusive partner, exclusive. Let me say that again, exclusive, because that's important. Partner with Green Organics since 2012. She has formulated for several different companies before. Two of them are billion-dollar essential oil companies. We are the only ones that have her formulations. She is the formulator behind Go to Sauna, which was launched in 2011, and the original healing trilogy, Heart and Body Naturals, in 2017. Her formulas remain the foundation of Zalara, which I'm going to talk about later, So Paula's quote from 2011, if a plant is medicinal, it was created with the sum of all of its constituents. The body recognizes the whole plant, not a fractionated piece of it. So those are the women in charge of this company. But before we go any farther, I do have to put this out here. We want to be perfectly clear about this. The statements made on this presentation or in any Green Organics LLC brand literature or presentation have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Green Organics products are not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, cure any diseases. The information on this presentation tonight on our websites in literature presentations is not intended as medical advice and is not intended to replace the primary relationship you have with your healthcare provider. Any decisions you make about your food or supplement choices should be made with one-on-one help of a qualified healthcare provider. And I just realized I do not have my notes up. Let me get that up here too. If you have a medical condition, you should see your physician of choice before starting any new protocol, exercise routine, things like that. But so there is the disclaimer out of the way. Let me get my notes pulled up. There we go. Sorry about that, you guys. I was kind of last minute putting that together, my notes, just to have that outline. Sorry about that. There we go. All right, so let's get started here with this. And switch that screen. Oh, did my thing freeze? That screen freeze? No, there we go. There we go. So tonight's conversation, we are going to talk about, this is our map for the next half hour, 40 minutes. We're going to walk through the energy crisis most people are living with, but writing off as just life. We're going to meet all 8 of the vitamin Bs. And I want you to actually understand what each one does in your body. Then we're going to talk about the soil story, how we got to a place where the food we're eating is not delivering what it used to. We'll get into the supplement industry and why injections and synthetics are not the answer most people think they are. And by the end, you're going to be sitting with a real picture so you can make decisions from a place of actually knowing with me. So stay with me through all of it. I've got a very special guest at the very end with a very heart-tugging story that is going to put all of these pieces that I'm going to talk about tonight in place. So does this sound familiar? So I want you to check in with yourself and let me know in the comments if any of this resonates. Do you wake up tired no matter how long you slept? Does brain fog hit you by mid-afternoon? Do you have mood swings that come out of nowhere? Any tingling or numbness in hands, feet, or extremities? Slow recovery from workout, stress, or illness? Foggy focus? All of that is being written off as getting older, just life. That's just how my body responds. This is just me. Could be stress, could be life. But what if I told you that every single one of those things can be traced back to one thing, a vitamin B depletion? That is what we are going to be unpacking tonight. So most people will say, well, I eat healthy. Okay, that's true. I'm sure you've heard that many times from your friends and in your network, because so many of you do eat clean. You buy organic, you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, not the garbage in the middle. You do everything right, but you're still tired. You're still foggy and something is still off with you. And so that reason is not your effort. It's actually the food itself. The produce on the shelves today is not the same produce that was on the shelves 50 years ago, and up to 50% drop in nutrient density over the years. Isn't that 50%? So one apple that you used to eat, you would have to eat like 12 now, I believe is the statistics in the apple, because of the nutrients just aren't there anymore. It's not in the soil. The tree can't grow a nutrient dense piece of fruit because the soil is so bad. So even the best organic produce even what looks beautiful. And on top of the nutrient loss, you've got contaminants in there from the soil. It's been sprayed and stripped, and the soil determines what comes up into your food. And the soil is actually your trouble. You can eat the perfect diet and still come up short. And that is what we are working with. So let's meet the B family. So when people say B vitamins, they usually only think of B12. And that is the one that shows up in the news. But there are 8 B vitamins, and they all work together as a team, much like Paula's quote about the plant, the whole plant, not just pieces of it. And pulling one of them out throws the whole system off. So tonight we're going to meet each of them, the B1, the thymine, the B2, the riboflavin, the niacin, which is B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, and B12. And some of these you've probably heard of. And by the end of tonight, you're going to know what each one actually does and why you cannot afford to be low on any of them. So let me give you a quick elevator pitch on what B vitamins do in your body. First, and the biggest, they are the cofactors your mitochondria needs to make energy. And every single cell in your body needs ATP to function. And without B vitamins, ATP production actually just crashes. And that's why deficiency feels like exhaustion. Number 2, B vitamins drive methylation, and methylation is your body's detox system and your DNA repair system and the way you process toxins and hormones, because people that have like the MTHFR, they can't detox properly, right? And so without methylation, you cannot get rid of what your body does not need. It doesn't get rid of those toxins or the excess vitamins, or if you're doing a detox, it doesn't eliminate as quickly. And so you end up feeling really sick and yucky. And number 3, your nervous system actually runs on B vitamins. So tingling and nerve issues are often a B vitamin thing. And then number 4, your neurotransmitter and hormones are built from B vitamins, mood swings, anxiety, depression. So much of that ties back here. And then number 5, your red blood cells need B vitamins to form properly. Anemia is often more about Bs than actually iron. So let's get into these. So let's meet one of them one at a time. So B1 thymine is the energy spark. This is the one that says, yeah, I feel good. It's the vitamin that takes the carbs you eat and turns them into fuels your cell can actually use. So if you're tired all the time, B1 is one of the first places to look. It's also critical for nerve signaling and brain function. And so here's what most people don't know about B1. B1 is the first B vitamin to deplete under stress. How about that? It's also wiped out by alcohol, and by refined sugar, by excess caffeine, and by certain medications. So if your life has been busy, if you've had years of stress, if you've ever had a relationship with alcohol that wasn't great, raising my hand, your B1 is probably tanked. So natural sources are whole grains, beans, legumes, seeds, and certain leafy greens. But again, the soil question, are those foods carrying the B1 that they used to? Then we have B2, riboflavin. So this is what is the energy currency builder. And it forms 2 coenzymes that are central to how your mitochondria produces that ATP for energy. But here's the kicker. B2 activates the other B vitamins. Your B6 cannot do its job without B2. Your folate cannot do its job without B2. So when you're low in B2, the whole B vitamin system actually starts to wobble. We don't want that. So B2 also protects against oxidative stress, and it supports your red blood cells. So you'll find it in the leafy greens, you'll find it in almonds, mushrooms, and quality protein. Here's a fun fact. So this also gets destroyed by light. And that is why milk today is packaged in opaque cartons instead of clear glass bottles your grandparents drank from. So modern processing strips a lot of that out too. Then we have niacin, B3. So it is one of the most overlooked B vitamins and one of the most important ones. So it powers over 400 enzymatic reactions in your body. 400. That's almost as important as the liver, right? It's also critical for DNA repair. Every single time your cells divide, your DNA has to be copied correctly. Niacin is part of how that happens. And without enough of it, damage accumulates over time. And think about that. DNA damage is not just you. It's every generation from you on down that has that repair, unless someone goes in and is very health conscious and starts to do things like we teach around here to start repairing that DNA. So your food sources for this, oh, B3 also supports like healthy cholesterol balance. Who's got cholesterol pills? Blood sugar regulation. Who has blood sugar issues? Brain function. Who has cognitive issues? So your food sources that you're going to want to pay attention to and make sure that you have some of this in your diet rotation are going to be meat, fish, peanuts, and certain mushrooms. And here's a fun thing. Your body can also convert tryptophan into niacin if you have enough B6 and B2 to make that connection. How's that? That's pretty cool. But that's how this thing all works together. So then we have the pantothenic acid, and this is the adrenal vitamin. Who's got adrenal fatigue? I know some of you on the call do, because I see it in your messages sometimes. So this is, if you've been stressed for years, if you feel wired and tired, B5 is critical for you. Your adrenal glands cannot produce stress hormones without vitamin B5. It also helps build something called coenzyme A, which is central to how your body processes fat and creates energy. So B5 is also going to support your wound healing and skin integrity too. You'll find it in your avocados, your eggs, your sweet potatoes, and a lot of whole foods. The name actually comes from a Greek word meaning everywhere, because B5 is supposed to be in everything, but the soil story that we're going to get to later is what changes that math. Then we have vitamin B6. Pyridoxine is the mood vitamin. Who's tired, who's grumpy, who doesn't have a lot of energy. Well, this is your little pal right here, your little bee pal. Your serotonin, your dopamine, your GABA, all of them require B6 to be built. And if you've been struggling with that mood, with anxiety, with sleep, with PMS, B6 is one of the first places to look. So B6 is also going to help regulate the homocysteine, which is the marker for heart health. High homocysteine is a real risk factor, and B6 brings it down. It also supports how your body metabolizes the hormones, which matters for everyone really, but especially for women navigating any kind of hormonal shift. Foods that you're going to want to look for are going to be bananas, poultry, chickpeas. There's some great recipes out there for some roasted chickpeas, and then certain fish. But again, are you really getting and absorbing what you need from the food that you are eating? Then we have this little guy here, B9, which is the folate. So this one matters, and I want you guys to kind of lean in here because this one's important. B9 folate is critical for cell division and DNA synthesis, okay? Every time a cell in your body makes a new cell, folate is involved in this. It's also central to methylation. But here's the part most people don't know. Folate and folic acid are not the same thing. Sometimes when I say fulvic acid, people think I'm saying folic acid. And I'm like, no, 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 no. That is not what I'm saying. And I know I've got several fulvic acid people here on the call tonight that love that product too. And I'm sure if you talk about it, people get confused with that at the same time, like they do with me. So folate is the natural form found in food. Folic acid is the synthetic form added to processed grains, cereals, and most cheap supplements. So up to 40% of the people cannot efficiently convert folic acid into their active form their body actually uses. They have a gene variation, just spoke about that, called MTHFR. And when they take folic acid, it actually blocks the receptors and makes the deficiency that they have even worse. So if you've been taking a generic prenatal or generic B complex with folic acid in it, you may have actually been doing more harm to your body than good. Real folate is going to come from your leafy greens, asparagus, liver. I know, Megan, you just asked about a liver recipe the other day, and I was curious to see if anybody answered. I've not gone back in there to see. And your legumes. Okay, so there's your B9. Right, drink. Then we have the B12, and I know like my father-in-law goes for B12 injections. They're a pharmaceutical couple, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. They're not interested in natural healing, even though I've done some magic when I've gone over there and taken some of my my tools. We've had some great success with it, but they have to run it by their doctor every time, which, you know, that's their path, not mine. So B12 is the famous one, and it is the one that most people have heard of. I know many on the call have heard of this because we've had conversations about it. And there is a reason for that, because B12 builds the myelin sheath that wraps around your nerves. And without it, nerve signaling is going to break down. And that's why that B12 deficiency causes the tingling, the numbness, the balance problems, and in severe cases, dementia type symptoms. So B12 is required to make those red blood cells. And without it, you get anemia that iron is not going to fix. So here's the catch. Well, let me pause right there real quick. So if you hear somebody that talks about being anemic and they have to go for iron supplementations, make sure to mention that they should have their vitamin B12 level checked at the same time. Okay. So this is the hardest B vitamin to absorb in your body. And you need a substance called instructive factor, which is produced by your stomach. And as we age, that declines. Acid blockers destroy it. So when you're taking something for heartburn, that's going to block that. And then your B12 is going to take a hit. Stomach issues impair it. So even when B12 is in your food, you may not be absorbing it. So food sources are your animal proteins and some seaweeds. And that is where my father-in-law's B vitamin injection story comes in. So most B12 injections are synthetic. And we're going to come back to that in a few slides. But let me tell you, this man, he is proud of the fact that he has never drank a glass of water in his life. He is a tea drinker. He used to drink probably 6 to 8 diet or Cokes a day, plus McDonald's sweet tea. But he's really changed a lot with his with what he's drinking. He's drinking like non-sugar tea now. So then we have, now let's move into the soil story. And this is where like this is where I get mad. So we've met the B vitamins. Now we have to talk about why so many of us are running low on them. And here is where the dots are going to start to connect. In 1940s, the food being grown in this country was very nutrient dense. The soil was alive. Generations of small farming had built up this rich topsoil with microbial life. We've done some great calls on that. Fast forward to the 1970s, the monoculture farming starts spreading, meaning this is my cornfield, this is my bean field, and they would just harvest year after year after year of that same type of agriculture in that field, okay? So the soil starts to thin. And by the 1990s, then we've got glyphosate that goes mainstream and the microbes start dying off. That's killing the microbes. So we talk a lot about gut health on the Detox Divas, right? And our gut microbiome has to be intact in order for the 12 different gut connections within the body to be functioning. It's the same kind of concept with the microbiome that is in the soil. And today, depending on which nutrient you measure, the food is down 25 to 50% in nutrient density. And some studies are even putting that higher. So 2 generations of food grown in soil that cannot support real nutrition. That is the soil story right there. How scary is that? But let's take a peek at this next side. Let's do the chemical story, okay? I'm going to back up to that next slide, but let's back up right here real quick. Let me just back up. 1940s, 1970s, 1990s today, okay? 1940s, 1970s, 1990s today. This is where it gets good. So while the soil was thinning, the chemicals were piling up. And in the 1940s, we ushered in the synthetic chemical era of farming. DDT was the poster child. And by the 1970s, Monsanto had patented glyphosate, which became the Roundup. And that is the most widely used herbicide in the world. Then in the 1990s, the GMO crops launched, engineering specifically to survive being sprayed with glyphosate. So the crops weren't surviving because the soil's dead. And so then they developed a GMO that could handle the stress of the Roundup on the fields. That single innovation made glyphosate use multiply 15 times over. So today, hundreds of millions of pounds of this stuff gets sprayed on US farmlands every single year. And here's what most people don't know. It's not just a weed killer. It's patented as an antibiotic. It kills the microbes in the soil and the microbes in your gut. The same microbes that make B vitamins. So while the soil is thin, the chemicals are climbing. And this is what makes me sick. Because I was a daycare provider for 16 years. And kids are a huge, huge passion of mine. We are talking, so we're going to talk about this. 1960, there was only 1 in 50 American children that had a chronic health condition. Less than 2%. Today, 4 in 10 do. I remember there was a boy in my 5th grade class, and he had to go to the nurses a couple times during the day. He had to have a special lunch, and I didn't know what it meant, but they said he had diabetes, and I didn't even know what that was. I'd never heard of it before, but he was the only child that I had ever come in contact with that had that I knew of. Now we have so many children with diabetes. I know several of my kids' friends that have it. So almost half of our kids, asthma, allergies, autism, ADD, ADHD, obesity, autoimmune diseases, type 2 diabetes, mental health diagnosis. All of this exploded in just 3 generations. You guys, this is not a coincidence. This is what happens when an entire generation of children is fed from soil that cannot support real nutrition. The food that is saturated with antimicrobial chemicals. The food got hollow, the chemicals climbed, and our children's bodies are showing us the bill for that. And here's the harder truth. The B deficiencies we've been talking about tonight are showing up in our kids before they even start kindergarten. Mood, focus, energy, immune function, nervous system development, all of it starts with a foundation we are no longer giving them. Isn't that so sad and so scary? It just, like, it breaks my heart. The kids, like, they're born. We did a class on that one time too. Kids are born with over 200 chemicals just in their cord blood. And then we're feeding them all this crap. And their poor little body, their detox pathways are not even fully developed until they're in their teens, which is why we have, that's why we are very, very cautious in detoxing our children. So it makes me so sad to hear that. So where did the vitamin B story begin? So let's get more specific about why this works. And let's go through this part here. So B vitamins in your food do not just magically appear in the carrot or the spinach leaf. They are made by the same microorganisms in the soil that Roundup is killing off because it's a soil antibiotic. Bacteria and fungi that live in the rhizospheres, which is the zone right around the plant root, those microbes produce the vitamin B. The plant absorbs them through the root. The plant tissues carry those B vitamins up the leaves and the fruit and the stem. And then you eat the plant and you get your B vitamins. It's like a chain, a microbe. So when you break that chain anywhere in the entire growth cycle, the B vitamins are not going to show up. And when we kill those soil microbes with chemicals, when we strip the topsoil with industrial farming, we break that chain at the very first link. The plant's still going to grow, but they're not going to carry those B vitamins that we need. So what broke? Let me say this as nicely as I can. I'm in Iowa, so I've got a lot of farmer friends. Modern agriculture grows big, beautiful plants in dying dirt. 4 things broke the soil microbiome. The glyphosate, which is one of the most widely used herbicides in the world. And as I said, it's patented as an antibiotic. Why do we not live on antibiotics, right? Because it kills the gut microbiome. Our food is being grown in an antibiotic type of soil. So that's going to kill the soil microbiomes that produce those B vitamins. Heavy tilling, which is repeatedly breaking up the soil with machinery, that's going to break the natural environment where those need to be undisturbed, really. If you've never heard of regenerative farming, I think we've got a call on that from a couple of years ago that was really good. And then you have your synthetic fertilizer, which makes these plants grow fast and they look so pretty, but they bypass the soil biology entirely. The plant's getting nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, but it never develops the relationship with the microbiome, with the microbes that would have given it the B vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients. And monoculture, which I explained earlier, which is one crop in the same field year after year, that plant, as it's growing, needs certain nutrients from the soil in order for it to develop. And when you grow beans in the same field every single year, it's stripping out those nutrients until there is nothing left to give. And some farmers will do rotational crop farming. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but they'll do beans in the field one year, corn in the field another year, you know, and they'll rotate their crops for their fields, but a lot of them don't. So it's just dying dirt. So then we have the synthetic trap that's happening. So the food does not have in it what it used to. We've clearly outlined that. People are feeling the deficiency. Our children they're the receipts of the choices that 3 generations have made. The supplement industry is going to step in here. And this is where it's going to get uncomfortable. So most of the B vitamins on the shelf at your local store are synthetic. Your body does not need more synthetic. They're made in a lab from petroleum byproducts and other chemicals. So you're trying to fix a problem with a solution that has its own problem. So B12 is the most cheap supplement, and it contains a cyanide molecule your body has to detach and process. It's used in most cheap supplements and most injections. It gives you a hit, but it does not address the depletion at all. Folic acid, the most common fortified vitamin in America, is added to almost every cereal, the breads, the prenatals, and up to 40% of the people can't even convert it because of the MTHFR. And then it's going to block the receptors that real folate could actually use. And then you've got the vitamin B injections like my father-in-law take. People feel a hit from them for sure, and he can tell when he needs another hit. But a big dose of anything is only going to give you a temporary feeling. I think he has to go in, he goes in every 6 weeks, I think, for a B12 injection, I think. But that's not the same as your body receiving B vitamins in the whole plant form. Like we said earlier, Paula's Foundation, she said this in 2011, you have to have the whole plant to get the most nutrients out of it. So then we have the whole food versus synthetic. So here's the difference in plain terms. So when you get B vitamins from a real whole food source, you get more than just the vitamin. You get the cofactors that help your body use it. You get the enzymes, you get the trace minerals, you get the bioactive forms your cells already know how to handle. Absorption is dramatically higher with whole food vitamin Bs over the synthetics. The effects last longer because your body can actually store and recycle the natural form. It builds a reservoir over time. And your great grandmother did not need a B complex every single morning. She got it what she needed from the food. We can get back there, but it has to come from sources that actually carry B vitamins, which brings us back to the question, where's your food coming from? So the downstream cost, so let's close out the depletion piece with what actually looks like over the long haul. So years of low vitamin B is going to show up as your chronic fatigue, as a brain fog that becomes your normal. It's not normal. As mood disorders, anxiety, depression that gets medicated instead of addressed at the root. And as nerve damage, neuropathy, balance issues, especially as we get older, as cardiovascular stress, because the B vitamins are what bring down that storm. And as faulty methylation, which means your body cannot detox properly, cannot repair that DNA properly, cannot regulate hormones properly. This is not a small thing, you guys. The B vitamin crisis is just not about energy. It is the root of so many of the chronic conditions our society is just drowning in. And the answer is not another injections. It's not another synthetic capsule. It's rebuilding that foundation. So now I want to bring on, where are my participants? Miss Valerie, would you mind unmuting for me?
Not at all. Hi.
Hi. I want to introduce you to this special woman. She is absolutely amazing. She is so grounded in who she is, and she has many hats that she wears. And I'm just going to go through those right here. But she is a heart-centered leader, a healer, a powerhouse in absolutely every sense. She is a former mental health provider with a deep insight into emotional wellness. She spent 15 years in the finance world, now a mid-six-figure earner at her corporate role. She is an advocate and caregiver for animals with special needs. She is a full-time daughter to her mother with dementia. So she has a huge, which I'm sure is very stressful, mid-six-figure job. She's caring for animals and her mother with dementia. So she is passionate about emotional detox, energy work, and living with a purpose. So she brings that perfect blend of grounded experience, intuitive wisdom, and real life grit. And you guys are just going to love her. When she realized what the topic was for tonight, she reached out to me and told me her story. I'm like, girl, I've got to open up the mic. You got to be on that call tonight. I got to open up the mic and people need to hear your story. So let's, Valerie, do you want to share with the community what you shared with me this morning?
Yeah, so this vitamin B deficiency is real. Like I've been living it so long with my mother that I've forgotten about most of it because when you have a disease, something that causes a disease, a deficiency, you go into like living mode, like surviving mode almost. Like how do we work around this? Like, how do we build a life around this? And so my mom was by the age of 21, she was a serial entrepreneur. So she had three beauty shops. One she worked in. So she became a cosmetologist, loved it, opened up three shops. One she worked in full time. And then she also used that money and then bought rental properties, like apartment complex. And then after that grew, she bought um, duplexes, just like, a bunch of different duplexes. And so she was just like vibrant. And when I was raised by this vibrant, passionate, powerful woman. And I mean, she was powerful, and it kind of overshadowed some things, but it just is what it is, when you're raised by somebody like that, it's just, you just kind of got to roll with the punches. My cat's helping out. And so she had so she decided about the age of 36, she wanted to sell all of her businesses, her everything, and go to college. And so we did, and she wanted to go into interior design. And so she ended up getting an interior design background and then also art history. And then it kind of morphed into other things as dreams do. And she had a very technical job. She was designing kitchens and baths, and she designed museums and hospitals and homes and just everything. Like she could do everything. And there's her buildings, the things she's designed, they're still standing today. And a lot of her ideas are out there, and even a lot of the homes in the older historic districts in Dallas, she redid them.
Wow.
Yeah. And so she was working and having a lot of trouble. I noticed she was having a lot of trouble putting simple numbers together. And this is a woman that had, very technical,
Mm-hmm.
creates design, and so her job was kind of getting on to her. And I was like, this is just not her, and she was having trouble she couldn't do any of the design stuff. Like that stopped almost immediately. And she couldn't put simple phrases, words, things together. She had a lot of trouble with cognition. And it just kind of, I was like, well, we got to get this looked at. And by the time we got it looked at, um, she was deficient in B3, B9, and B12. And so it caused permanent nerve damage. And so she was immediately put on permanent disability, and not, we didn't have to fight it or anything. Luckily with her job, she had long-term care. And so we got, she got help with that. And then we got disability immediately, but her whole life changed. She couldn't drive. She
Mm-hmm.
no longer could design. That was her biggest passion, and um, she was and is still my best friend.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, and it's just very hard because she's not even the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And we went from having this vibrant life, like we're like sisters. We went
Mm-hmm.
from having this vibrant life. We had a beautiful home. We had just, we traveled every year. We went somewhere for my birthday, for her birthday. We had just, everything was great. And it just went away. Like, I mean, it went down to me, just me taking care of everything, me supporting, me trying to figure all this stuff out. And imagine her, losing her
Yeah.
ability to drive, losing her dreams, and it's all because of these deficiencies. And this has been going on. She was diagnosed in 2008. She's 77 now. And so the point is we had no idea. Like we had no idea that this was possible. We had no idea that this was even going on. Because I know some people were asking, well, how do you know? You don't. It shows up in different ways. And so had we have known, had there been education out there like this, had we have known, maybe we would have been able to do something different. I don't know. But here we are, fast forward 77. Now we've got the biggest monster, which is Alzheimer's dementia.
Yeah,
And that is nasty. I mean, that is a nasty disease.
it is. We're
Mm-hmm.
living with that with Todd's mom. Both of them have autoimmune issues, and she'll be sitting in the I call it, my daughter when she was little called it a two-seat love couch, but it's a love seat. But I just still call it two-seat love couch because it's cute. But anyway, they'll sit on their two-seat love couch and hold hands, and Penny will call Todd crying because she doesn't know where her husband is and she wants to go home. And there's no talking her out of it. It's just, and then, that brings Todd down. And so I know what you're going through right now. And I hate that for you, especially that being your best friend. But you're such an amazing warrior, and how incredibly blessed is your mama to have you right there being her advocate, her caretaker, and everything else that I don't know how you fit it all in, honestly. Looking at your screen right now with everything you do and dealing with everything you've had to do, you're such an amazing woman, and I'm so blessed to have your friendship.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same.
Yeah. Can you guys give Valerie some love in the in the comments? Thank you for sharing your heart and being so vulnerable. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple slides after this for some housekeeping type stuff that I want to get to, but I want you to sit with this overnight. I want you to be thinking about this call tonight. I want you to be thinking about Valerie's mom. I want you to be aware, because most people are walking around exhausted and they have no idea why. You now know you have those tools because you showed up tonight. So give yourself a round of applause. You know that B vitamins are foundational. You know that the soil is the source. You know that synthetics are not the answer. And you know that the food question is really the soil question. So I'm not going to tell you tonight to run out and do anything specific. I just want you to sit with this. And I want you to notice over the next few days, how many people in your life fit that deficiency picture? How many people walk around with that lethargy, those afternoon naps, mean that caffeine hit in the afternoon? How many of you have been chasing energy with caffeine and craving and crashing after every afternoon and writing it off as just normal? Let's see it in the chat. How many of you are writing this off as just normal? The picture is much bigger than this. And here is what I'm going to say. There's something coming that's going to have an amazing B profile. So I want you to stay close to the community. We're going to be talking about solutions soon and what real nutrition can look like in this depleted world. So for tonight, just sit. And I want you guys to know that I just appreciate you so much for showing up to this call, because I think this is one of the more important calls that we've had. We can talk about detox all day long because that plays into it too. But this is a piece that I wanted to bring to you so that you had that information when you see someone really tired. You can say, hey, you know what? Have you ever had your B levels checked? And you might start their own healing journey. So the big news is Heart and Body Naturals, which I've been so blessed to speak about for over 4 years on this call, and Go to Sauna. I've talked about their product line for over 4 years, and the two companies are now merging into a brand new company called Zalara. So if you are somebody that is in need of additional income, or if what I spoke about tonight resonated with you on a personal level, or you know somebody that has some of these things that we have talked about, I highly encourage you to hop on the next call with Coach Marcus. That's at oneteamonedreamhangout.com. He's going to go over this brand new opportunity, this brand new company, and the brand new product that I cannot talk about, but I hinted about tonight. Okay. So I hope you will hop on that call with Coach Marcus directly after that. We've still got products going through Heart and Body Naturals. We've still got products going through Go to Sada. And when you make a purchase with Heart and Body Naturals, you're going to get this master roller stick called Fat Detox. Roll, detox, and sculpt right there. So you're going to feel lighter. You're going to look tighter. You're going to move more and hold less. That's going to wake up your lymphatic flow. And it's going to target the areas that refuse to budge. It's a roller stick. Just rub it on. So get with whoever shared this with you, this call, to find out how to get that for free. That's our free product this month. And then over at the sister company is our essential oil of the month. It's a subscription club. Each one is designed to bring out a certain part of you and empower you to face the day even better, show up for yourself. Each one comes with a daily devotion, motivation. And so personal powers is, and you guys, if you are able to read this out loud with me, I want you to read it out loud with me, okay? I will embody my personal power from this day forward and use it for good. I forgive those who have taken my power, whether intentionally or because they have none of their own. And I forgive myself for giving my personal power away. I am in gratitude for reclaiming my personal power and how it has changed my life. How did that feel in your soul? Felt good in mine. So that is our Detox Diva call tonight. Again, thank you for showing up. I hope you found value. I hope you were able to put some pieces together, maybe on your own level of health and healing, that path that you need to claim and take steps. Start eliminating things that do not belong in your body, like everything from the middle of the store, because that's all bad stuff. And move forward with intention that you deserve abundance and good health. With that, we will sign off for the Detox Divas tonight. We will see you next week with hopefully more information. Have a great night and hop on Coach Marcus's call directly after this in about 8 minutes. Bye-bye, everyone. I love you.